These are key issues for Module 4, and it's me, Cindy Fisher. As we go down the road ahead, the references are from Pascarella and Terrancini, How College Affects Students, and Wren and Reason, College Students in the United States. The two key issues I would like to talk about from the Module 4 readings are those of complexity and equity. Complexity can be seen, for example, in Pascarella and Terrancini's How College Affects Students book. Just what a massive book. I mean, it's 800 plus pages to talk about and answer the question, how college affects students. It's definitely a complex topic. And with equity, fairness, and impartiality, this can be seen in other areas as well, jobs, politics, demonstrations and protests, rioting, in sports, in buying a house or renting. And as far as educational equity, it comes to one's inner root or soul just to have that fairness and to have the impartiality. With the issue of complexity, Pascarella and Terrancini said, the overall picture, as noted, is considerably more complex than it initially appears. And we see this time and again with all their many studies that they reviewed, that some didn't conclude anything, didn't conclude what they were hoping. Others need to be replicated or were replicated and then still didn't conclude what they thought or concluded something different. There's just so many, and there's so many studies, and it's just seemingly very complex. Also, in regard to complexity, not just are there so many studies that are complex, but Pascarella and Terrancini say researchers, teachers, administrators, and increasingly policymakers are coming to recognize that choosing to attend college and succeeding once there are part of a complex interaction of family, school, and college-related factors. So, along for the students, it's also very complex for the students themselves. Also, in regard to complexity, Pascarella and Terrancini say the research strongly suggests that if one of the purposes of public higher education policy is to make the benefits of college attendance and degree completion equally available to all, then we must begin to think of college attendance and completion as a more complex and longer-term process than we have previously. I see the complexity in my work with ESL at a community college because there's just so many levels and layers that I can see with students, for example, with their persistence and with the college retention of them. There's just so many levels, and it's so complex to think about. It's very individual. It seems like what works for one student is completely different for another, and a lot of times people want to know for the whole group, what works with this or that, and look at it as a whole, but really it's very individualized and I would say also very complex. The second issue that stood out to me from the Module 4 readings was that of the issue of equity. And from Wren and Reason, this quote, students deserve equitable educational outcomes. Equitable does not necessarily mean that all students are treated exactly alike. It means that institutions ensure that regardless of students' input characteristics, they provide environments in which students from diverse backgrounds succeed at equal rates in meeting their educational goals. I think to me this means seeing each student as who they are and finding a good fit for them, for their education, and helping each student start with where they're at and succeed to where they'd like to go, and meeting the educational needs for each student individually and as needed for that student. Also, in regard to equity, from Wren and Reason, the question to ask is, how well does the institution meet its mission with regard to promoting success for all students? I know in my program with ESL, I feel like we're losing the students at the very lowest end, those students that are pre-literate, maybe they were never literate in their own language, or their language is one that uses a very different alphabet from ours, because maybe they don't even know about the program, or they just come for a couple of days and don't continue. And I think sometimes we lose the students at the very high end too, because they want to stay in our program, but then they don't qualify because maybe they're beyond ESL with reading and also listening, and because we're using a test score and their scores are beyond, we need them to go on and start curriculum classes. Now, do GED program if they don't already have a degree. And a lot of the students at that level are like, I just want to keep practicing English. They want to stay, but then they don't qualify. So, and then there's some students that sometimes they start and they think, oh, it's probably going to be very easy to learn English, but then when they realize they need to put in at least 6 hours a week, I think because of their schedules and things, I think there's some students that aren't able to continue because of that. Also, Wren and Reason say, we are in a period of increased public scrutiny and accountability for college costs and outcomes, and college completion rates in particular. And I see this with ESL. Everything is looked at a lot with monitoring visits. We have also auditors. There's lots of public scrutiny. We are a free program, so we, you need to be very accountable and keep things within the budget. Also, more and more as time goes by, we're more and more based on the results of students going up levels, getting their GED, or getting their adult high school diploma. Those are really the things that are looked at right now. Years ago, it was if students were making progress, if students were showing improvement, that was all good. But right now, the things that are looked at are the going up the levels, and certainly if they're getting their GED or adult high school diploma as far as funding. Wren and Reason also say, in regard to equity, containing costs while meeting the needs of a larger population of students with more diverse backgrounds will be a substantial challenge. For us with ESL, we're already having immigrants in the program, but we've got about 85% are Spanish speakers. So although they may be from various Spanish-speaking countries, not just Mexico or Guatemala or Honduras, but from all over, most are from those three countries. And diversity for us, it means trying to get people from other areas of the world to know about our program and to attend the program. What really works well is when there is a class that has students with several native languages, because then they're pushed even more to speak in English on the break and not just whisper to their neighbor, for example, in Spanish, because other students in the class speak other languages, so that helps them do that. We do already have students with quite diverse backgrounds as far as socioeconomic levels and as far as previous educational levels. We see everything from students who have not been educated at all in their home country, those that have just a few years of schooling, as well as those that have very high degrees, very specialized degrees in their home country. and our end goal, success for all students. I thought this Prezi layout did a good job of showing as we go down the road together and get to our final goal, success for all students. And there's the overview with the references. Thank you.